Everybody, to another edition of YouTube Swim Swam going live with Mel and Coleman. Let's get right down to it. Cate Campbell said some things on an Australian morning news show that have Americans and swimming fans pretty upset, and we're here to discuss that. Now, on Channel 9, the Today Show, which is a morning news show in Australia, Cate Campbell was talking to the pundits about Australia's performance, especially compared to the US's. They referenced that NBC switched the medal table 6 days through competition to reflect the total medals a country has won above the amount of total gold medals a country has won. And Cate referenced that and calling the US such sore losers. She goes on to say Australia coming out on top is one thing, but it is just so much sweeter beating America. There were a couple nights, particularly the first night of competition, where we did not have to hear the Star Spangled Banner ring out through the stadium. I cannot tell you how happy that made me. She went on a little more, and we're actually just going to play the video for you so you have the context for the rest of this conversation.
However, a little bit of controversy. The US team's head coach, Bob Bowman, I mean, what a loser he is. He's refused to accept Australia came out on top, insisting instead that America is in the lead because they won more medals overall. I mean, what sore, pathetic losers.
Come off it.
Such sore losers. I mean, Australia coming out on top of the world is one thing, but it is just so much sweeter beating America.
Yeah.
There were a couple of nights, particularly the first night of competition, where we did not have to hear Star Spangled Banner ring out through the stadium, and I cannot tell you how happy that made me. Like, if I never hear that song again, it will be too soon. And so, bring on Paris. That's all I have to say,
Bravo.
US, and stop being sore losers.
Bravo. I mean, there is a little bit of heat between the two teams, isn't there?
It's competitive.
Oh, there definitely is. And I tell you what, when we're like right next to each other in the warm-up areas, the US have this like infernal cowbell that they ring. And as someone leaves to go to the competition pool, they ring out, USA, USA. And I've never wanted to punch someone more and steal that cowbell. And I really hope that someone did.
I think the takeaway from that is we need more cowbell. But in all seriousness, for context on this platform, this media, where she did this interview, it's that clip is from Channel 9, Australia's Today Show. It's defined as infotainment. It is definitely an entertainment news show. When guests come on, they're supposed to bring it, and it's supposed to be funny. It's not, if you're in the United States, it's not Saturday Night Live, it's not SNL, but something that is important to say here is that when people use humor to communicate something, they can say, okay, it's in jest, but people use humor to tell the truth. And she did tell the truth.
And you could see her laughing through that interview, right? Like, she was absolutely hamming it up. She wasn't, I mean, you could just tell that this was more of a joke, a fun, a lighthearted thing. And we actually reached out to Cate Campbell for a comment. And she said this was not meant to be taken so seriously. This was not meant to go viral. This was supposed to be a lighthearted, fun banter between her and the pundits. She went on to say she has immense respect for USA and its athletes. So you could, and again, you could tell that a lot of the things she was saying were in jest, and that she was, being an exaggerated version of herself.
But she was committed. When she was saying it, she was really committed. And I've been to Australia now 4 times, competed there 3 times. Their passion around swimming, it is a swimming nation. It's I felt some authenticity. It was funny, but I felt a lot of authenticity in what she said. There was some passion there.
Well, and it makes sense, right? Because the U.S. is getting all butthurt, for lack of a better phrase, because she's downing the Star Spangled Banner and calling us sore losers. One of my favorite comments I saw was that it's like, I think everyone's a sore loser here. I think the US and Australia are both overly sensitive about this. And I couldn't agree more, especially in the case of the medal table, which was a big story in itself at this meet, because this was the final medal table. Australia won 13 gold medals to the US's 7. And that is always the, pun intended, gold standard by which the US measures itself and its competition. And 6 days through this 8-day World Championships, NBC started listing the total medals won as the top priority so that the United States would be on top versus the total gold medals won, which would have put Australia on top. And I get why they did it. They're an American news company and they're catering to American audiences, which the American audiences want to see the USA on top. However, I think in this case, Australia is justified in feeling slighted because the US, in that category lost. And we're, instead of just saying, yep, Australia had the better meet, Australia was the better team, we're trying to spin it so that the US is still the best team.
But something that's interesting, well, let's go into the history very quickly, is that this is old. This is a long rivalry, and Rowdy Gaines is on the telecast with Peacock, NBC, and they're the ones who did the medal count, gold, silver, bronze, and then they flipped it day 5 or 6 to total medals. This history goes back to Rowdy in 1984 in the 100-meter freestyle final, when Rowdy has like the fastest reaction time ever in history, and everyone said it was a false start, and he beat Mark Stockwell. And everyone felt that Mark Stockwell was the person that was going to win that race, and Rowdy only won because he had that reaction. If you don't know it, you've got to go back and watch it. Funny side note is that Mark Stockwell married Tracy Calkins, and Tracy Calkins is a U.S. star legend. And for a period, and she lives in Australia with Mark and her kids, and there for a period of time, I think she was president of Australian Swimming Australia. But really, the most recent thing is 2000 Olympic Games. Gary Hall from the Gary Hall swimming dynasty got family winning medals back to the 1970s. Gary Hall said that Team USA was going to smash the Aussies like guitars, and that didn't happen in 2000. Gary got run down in the final 100 meters in the anchor leg, almost a body length by Ian Thorpe, and he touches Aussies win in their home country, and the other 3 Australians on deck start airstreaming their guitars. It was I didn't feel good in that moment. That hurt my.
Well, let's watch the clip real quick. We have a quick video of it. So there's no audio here, but that's Ian Thorpe in the black suit running down Gary Hall. That's Australia, specifically Michael Klim, playing air guitar after they smashed them like guitars.
If you're a Team USA, former Team USA swimmer or a Team USA fan, that was I sulked the rest of the day after that happened.
Yeah, and that's a big flex. And honestly, I think that was warranted in Australia's case. It's like there was something said, and they put it to rest, right? It was kind of the same thing in 2008. We didn't play air guitars, but the Lezak ran down Elaine Bernard, and they celebrated as such. And I think it's interesting because since then, the Australians and the US have always had very fierce rivalries, but there's been a ton of respect. And to me, that's just a changing of humanity in the last 20 years. And I think how the internet and how social media has affected how we look at each other, because we have Titmus and Ledecky, we have McEwen and Reagan Smith, We have, we had James Magnuson and Nathan Adrian in the 100 free, and Nathan ran him down by 100th. And then we had Kyle Chalmers beating Nathan in 16, and then we have Dressel beating Chalmers in 2021. But none of those guys have a heated rivalry, right? It is fierce in the pool, but they all hang out outside the pool. They're all friends. We saw a great clip of Kayla McEwen and Reagan Smith just chatting it up in the ready room before the 200 back at this World Championships.
It's since the 80s, since I was on the national team. I was on the national team for a very long time. Socially, after the international meet, your big peak meet, world champs, Pan Pacific championships, whatever, Olympic Games, socially, Team USA and the Aussies hang out. Just for respect, and just for you have to say this. I think it's really important, and it's a part of the reason why Team USA absolutely loves and does respect the Australian team. The population of Australia is 26.4 million. The population of the United States is 339.9 million. The state of Texas, one state in our 50, the state of Texas has a population of 30 million. So Australia is producing an enormous amount of talent, an enormous amount of medals and performance from a population that is, we're 13 times larger in the United States. You got to appreciate that.
And I want to tie that into a comment made by Robert Larson right now. He says, it's the fact she said it. She offended all Americans complaining about our anthem and pride. If we were arrogant, that would be one thing, but she didn't have to say that. I'm no longer a fan of her. That's a bold statement to me, to say Americans aren't arrogant, because as a country of 330 million, we make the most noise at meets like that. To other countries, we are probably the most obnoxious. Now, I love cheering at big events like this. I love the cowbells. I think it's great. But imagine being not from the US at one of these meets and seeing this country with an incredible population who always has by far the deepest teams, not necessarily the best, but absolutely the most athletes, because they have the funding and the resources to send them. And then they are just making the most noise, celebrating the most. And it would get under my skin too if I was from Australia, especially if they do a thing like cheat you out of a medal table win when you very handily beat them.
We have one commenter that's called us out and said China's not getting any love, and China had a huge performance. And the reason why we're not talking about China is because of this one comment by Cate Campbell, 4-time Olympian, who's competed, year over year from the age of 15, 16 in the United States. She's been coming here, making friends. Here are my ending comments. This is what I think. I love Cate Campbell because in one interview, intentional or not intentional for going viral, she has recalibrated and revived swim fan passion, and she's brought back this rivalry that's been around since the 1980s. And I think she's given swimming a gift. It's like I think since coming out of the pandemic, we were a little bit tired. We're kind of like going, oh man, it's hard to get back into it. It's I want to be passionate, but she's given us a narrative to wrap around. And if you're a betting person right now and you're in the United States and you got to bet hard-earned cash on who's going to win gold medals, I mean, the smart money goes to Team Australia. Team Australia is where you put your bank. And Team USA, we had 20 silvers at World Championships, where a young emerging talent is right there on the bubble. The safe money is that by 2028, Team USA is going to be extraordinarily dominant, with so many kids from the Phelps generation growing up on a steady diet of watching Michael Phelps, deciding, I'm going to go after 8 events, and they'll end up being great in 2 or 3. But Cate Campbell, I appreciate your humor. Thank you very much. And I guess we're going to be hitting our cowbell heading into next year.
Dude, I saw that headline the moment it hit SwimSwam, and I was like, this is awesome. I didn't even know the context. I didn't know what she said, but it's just like, she was being honest. Like, it's so sweet to beat the Americans because it doesn't always happen. And I think that's okay to say. It's like that again, I think the hate on the cowbells, I think the hate on the national anthem, I think those were more of jokes. But it's like, I want to hear my competition say, God, it was so sweet to beat you, because that gets me fired up. And I think it's not like she's rubbing your nose in the dirt. She's not hitting you when she's down, but it's like, it feels good to win, and it feels good to win over you.
I have to say this. I've been on medal podiums at Worlds and the Olympic Games, and I understand where she's coming from. When you're on the podium and you put it all in the pool, maybe you made a mistake, maybe you didn't, maybe it was the best thing you could do, and you're sitting there and you're not on top and you're listening to another nation's national anthem. That's tough.
Doesn't feel good.
It's a tough moment. It's humbling. It's good for you. I'm sure it's really good for you. I'm sure it makes you a good human being, but it is tough. It's hard. So I have some empathy for her. And I hope that we hear the U.S. national anthem in Paris a lot. A lot of those silvers could turn to golds. We could flip a lot of those. I think we're in a good pocket.
It's very true. I am not worried about Team USA at all. We had a great showing. I mean, I think it's really interesting that World Aquatics themselves, they named Team USA the team of the meet because they had the scoring system, and the scoring system values depth, right? All 20 silver medals we won got us a lot of points. And so it's like, personally, I think Australia was absolutely the team of the meet. They broke 5 world records. They won 13 gold medals. But it is interesting to me that World Aquatics values a system that will probably have the U.S. winning majority of world championships, as opposed to something that might value a smaller country's accomplishments a little more.
We've got to give some respect to Lily King. She took the bait. She got out there and she spoke, and that's the beauty about Lily King. A lot of people get upset about Lily King because Lily will wag her finger. Lily will, she's outspoken. She'll tell you exactly where she's at. And people think as a lady, she's unsportsmanlike. She's exactly how I've raised my daughter. I want my daughter to be grounded and strong and speak her truth. And Lily put the cherry on top for this. This is what I think this really pushed the viral aspect of it. And this rivalry is going to be intense. So much love to Cate Campbell, Lily King, and of course, cowbells.
Hold on. You know who she retweeted though?
Who?
Was Rowdy Gaines. Lily King retweeted Rowdy Gaines, who posted the video clip of Cate Campbell on his Twitter. So it all comes back to Rowdy.
It's if you watch the end of that final day's telecast and you hear Dan Hicks, the host, and Rowdy call in the color, their unpacking of the competition, they talk a lot about the medal table. And I feel like they gave Australia a lot of respect. In many respects, they're like, this was Team Australia's meet. And so I thought they added some pretty good journalistic context and spoke the truth. But people remember medal tables and people remember quotes, and they're going to forget most everything else when it comes to the media. So need more cowbell.
Thank you for tuning in, everyone. We will see how these comments age and what motivations U.S. swimmers take from them moving forward into this 2024 Olympic year. We'll probably be going live before you know it. But thanks for tuning into this one,